Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified Doctor of Naturopathy, Dr. Stephen Cabral, shares with you exactly how you can reverse aging, take back your health, and live a life full of energy and passion, with new 20-minute episodes every single day to keep you healthy and engaged. Now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. So glad to have you with me here today. Excited to get into our Mindset and Motivation Monday. Best way to start your week. Today we're going to be talking about, I believe, an old adage that I don't necessarily think will lead to your greatest amount of happiness in life. And that is the phrase, do what makes you happy. Now, I do want to get to the point right away and say, yes, you should absolutely do the things that make you happy in life. There's no doubt about that. And I think where we get lost is that a lot of times, especially in our 20s and maybe even early 30s, we get caught up with all the things that are fun to do. Right? And this can happen later in life as well. There's no doubt about it. The problem is this, though. If we're always doing the things that bring us pleasure in our life, we may be foregoing that of which we know we need to do in order to be successful in the areas that maybe mean the most to us later in life, such as family, relationships, career, spirituality, health, body transformation, whatever it may be. And the reason why I mentioned that now is that we can do a lot of detriment to ourselves in our 20s and 30s and all the way through, let's say, 50s, 60s, by foregoing what we know we should do in order to set ourselves up for success. So let me just give you a health-based example. For me, if someone has been, let's say, smoking cigarettes, not getting enough sleep, not eating as well as they should, drinking alcohol most nights of the week, we know that they're doing things that they really enjoy, right? They're doing things that they may love. There's a lot of people who love smoking. They do. A lot of people who love drinking alcohol. A lot of people who love eating out all the time. Like, they love doing that. And they love working really hard. They love not getting a lot of sleep because it allows them to do more of the things that they love. The problem is that if you keep doing all of those things in your 50s, you're absolutely going to see what the last 40, 50 years has done to your body. Now, can you reverse it? Yes, you can, like to degrees, but it's going to be more challenging because you've already put a lot more miles on the body. So this can go literally for anything. I mean, there's a lot of friends, colleagues who've confided in me, and they've really enjoyed themselves, again, working hard, traveling, improving their career, but never really looked into being serious about relationships, just kind of going from relationship to relationship and not really making it a priority. And now they find themselves mid 40s, later 40s, early 50s, and they're saying, I wish, I started a family. Now, again, it's not too late to start a family. I'm not saying that at all, but it's them looking back and sharing with me, at least, that this is something that I wish I thought about before, right? It's that I was doing the things that I loved in the moment, but I think I forgot about that eventually I'm going to grow up. Eventually I am going to be 60 years old. Eventually I am going to be 80 years old. And for me, not having the family and looking back and having children, maybe even grandchildren, that at least to them may be an issue. And so what I say is, no matter where you're at in your life, at least explore the spirituality aspect, the relationships and family aspect, the health aspect, the body transformation, because I'm just telling you right now, again, to me, it doesn't matter if someone is, within their healthy BMI or they're 100 pounds overweight. That does not matter to me in terms of vanity metrics or what person thinks this body looks good or doesn't look good. That's not what it is at all. But it is about health. And we know that if you're 50 plus pounds over your ideal weight, even really 30, then what happens is you have many more complications later in life. Now, you can be at a healthy weight and still have health complications. That's the interesting thing and the mystery about life. It really is. But at least you give yourself a better shot. That's all that I'm saying. So if you're dealing with 50 plus pounds and it's been years since you've had the weight on, and you haven't made it a priority, maybe again, you make it a priority. Again, it's not for me to tell you how to live your life. But what I'm saying is, as the years continue to go on, the effects in the body compound. So when we start to look at anti-aging and we start to look at longevity, we don't just look at lifespan, we actually look at health span. And we know that people that are, again, 30, 50 plus pounds over their ideal weight, and again, we're not saying that you have to be super thin, that's not what it's about at all. We just know that there's greater complications from metabolic disease. And metabolic syndrome or metabolic disease is basically looking at cardiovascular issues, blood pressure issues, and type 2 diabetes. And because of that, well, then it just leaves you more susceptible to every inflammatory-based condition out there, and then it could lead to autoimmune issues, cancer, and much more. So again, nobody gets a free ride, right? Nobody says like it can't happen to anybody, but it makes it that much more challenging as you move through life. So again, when I look at this, I say, well, is the person exercising? No, let's say not enough time. Okay, are they eating well? Well, when they're able to, but they also like to go out to eat a lot and consume a lot of alcohol. Okay, what about their sleep? Well, they're going to bed a little later than they should, closer to midnight or so. So when I look at these things, I'm saying, okay, they're enjoying their life now, right? They're living in the moment. Amazing. I love that as well. And you want to live in the moment. But what you don't want to do is live in the moment and then forego your future. That I see as an issue. And so when I hear this, do what makes you happy, I agree, but have a long-term mindset as well. So I absolutely do what makes me happy. But I also do things that don't necessarily make me happy. Like there are work things that I have to do that don't necessarily make me the happiest. I know I love my work, but there are some things that I don't love, right? There are some pieces to it. In terms of, again, staying healthy, I don't love going to bed between 9:30 and 10 p.m. I don't love going to bed that early. I also don't always get to eat all of my favorite foods because for health-based reasons, I'm trying to eat healthier. So I don't necessarily love all those things, but what I do love are all of the outcomes. And that's what I want to share with you here today. Because what you really want to focus on is outcomes, not necessarily the moment. And when you can get there, that is when life changes. Because every day I get to wake up now and enjoy life. Like every day I wake up, I've got great energy, love my family, my daughters, they're going to schools that they enjoy, they're doing the things that they enjoy, which then makes me very happy as well, right? And so when I look at that, I'm saying, okay, I'm living my life how I want to live and getting the ultimate outcomes that I'm looking for in the short term and the long term, but I need to work in order to make that happen. So again, my wife and I are very big on trying to teach kindness and doing the right thing, not only for our daughters, but getting them to do the right thing in life. That is not always the easiest decisions. It's also telling them that they can't have dessert every single night. Like that's not going to happen. We're not keeping it in the house. If we're going to go out for dessert, we're going to go out for dessert and we can do that. It's not going to happen every night. Here's why. And it's not that we're trying to deprive our children of enjoying and loving the things that they love in this very moment, but it's saying there are also consequences to doing what we love. And sometimes that is a future that we don't want for our daughters, which might be one of sickness and inflammatory based issues, even as a child, but certainly not setting them up, for adulthood as well. So now it's setting up it's trying to find that balance between the psychology of not deprivation, but also of understanding that sometimes you're going to deprive yourself, meaning like you always want these things every single time. Every day you want chocolate chip cookies, right? Because they're delicious. But I don't know if we should have chocolate chip cookies every single day, right? Like I just don't know if that sugar and the fats combined together is really the best thing for us or our children. So it's something to think about. And again, I'm not telling anybody how to live their life, but the whole reason for this show, and I do want to share it with you, is another quote that's very popular. Now it's been changed and it's been reworded in different ways. I reworded it as well. I did it to be a little bit more kind, because sometimes I think that we're not gentle with people at where they're at in their life right now. Many people are struggling with things that we can know nothing about, right? And I think back to all of those times when I was struggling. People have no idea what you're going through. So I try to be a little bit kinder in how I speak. I'm not always the best at that. I'm really not. I'm very direct in how I speak because I don't want to mix words. I want people to know exactly, at least from my perspective, what they can do in order to improve their life and what I've seen work. And I don't want to mix those words, but I want to share with you a quote. And I know that you've heard it before and probably in different ways. This is a gentler way of saying it in my opinion, but it's this: hard times create strong men and women. Strong men and women create passive times. Passive times create passive men and women. Passive men and women create hard times. And then the cycle repeats. So the reason why I chose the word passive is that the hard times that created strong men and women. Think about like your grandparent, like my grandparents' generation, World War II, all of those things, like growing up in the Great Depression or just thereafter, like hard times, like hard living, created strong men and women, just disciplined, did what they have to do for their family, for themselves. And then it created more, honestly, like more enjoyable, robust times that people can enjoy themselves, have more leisure time. And it wasn't the fault of the people that got to enjoy the leisure time because they didn't know any different, right? But it did make people then a little bit more passive, potentially, right? It's at least my thought and a few other people's thoughts as well. And then what happens then is it doesn't create then the same potentially discipline and working on challenging things and those types of things because you just had it a little bit easier. And I'm not saying I was anything different. I had my own challenges, but again, when we look at the overall scheme, how do we use that in our life? And then what happens though is if we become too passive in our life for too long, it creates hard times. And I share that with you because I don't want your 20s through your 40s, maybe even 50s, to be more passive, where you're doing the things in the moment that you enjoy without regard for what the future will look like from 50 to 80, or ideally from 50 or 60, let's say, to 100. What are those years going to look like? Have you set yourself up for success? Have you already set yourself up for success in terms of relationships, in terms of finances and career, in terms of your kids, in terms of your health, your overall weight, not too low, not too high, all the different things that are factors in your life? Because I know that most of us have goals, and if we don't, we do want to set them. Like, again, it's nice to live carefree. But the problem is, and I've seen many people live like this, eventually life catches up with you, right? And then you're short on health, you're short on your overall finances, you're short on where you want your relationships to be. So what I say and what I ask of you is to create your long-term goals, and then the best to your ability, be able to enjoy the process along the way, because it's going to take work. The truth is that a lot of the long-term goals you have, you're going to have to make sacrifices in this moment. So that at that point, you're not necessarily doing what you love, right? Because you could very easily do other things that are more enjoyable. You can eat the foods that are more enjoyable, not exercise and instead watch TV more enjoyable, right? You can work longer hours if you love your job maybe, but then you're missing out on what? Family, relationships, and also your sleep. So what I ask is, I think that there is a happy medium. I think there is a way to create a balance. I know sometimes it's going to take a lot of sprints, like in terms of the work, the challenge, overcoming it in any area of your life, but then you do get to sit back a little bit while still working on those short and long-term goals in order to be able to derive the most happiness right now. Because I'm telling you right now, if you know you're working towards your goals, right? And that goal is bright, it's vibrant, it's a future that you want, you're going to start to enjoy the process that much more. I know that I did. Like, I didn't want to eat the foods that I had to eat starting around, well, when I figured things out around 19 years old. And I was sick for multiple years before that. But I started to realize, like, okay, well, if I want to get well, I have to give up some of these foods that I'm enjoying, right? All these fried foods and other things like that as a teenager. Can't do that. And so I started to whittle them down a little bit, but I'm saying, like, yeah, this is really strange for me, eating a salad today, eating these things, but I'm doing it because I want that end goal. And so I actually looked then at the healthier food as a means to my future me, which is really what I was after. So I want to share with you this, that ultimately the life that you want is on the other side of overcoming the obstacles and challenges in your life that takes work. But if you do that, that is ultimately where all that happiness lies. And it's not just in the achievement of a worthy goal. It's actually in the work that you put in that built the confidence and the self-worth of someone that's actually then deserving of living the life that you will ultimately live. Hopefully today's show was helpful. I appreciate you, as always, for tuning in to today's show. Share this show with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everybody. Have an amazing week. Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my health results accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stephencabral.com/courses.